Chris Jericho could be a possible walkout.
Yeah, there's got to be something. I think this is the one that I want to see those sort of turns happening in the match, because on the other side it doesn't really make much sense. I don't want to see it all night long, but this will be the match I do that with. It's really difficult to pick a winner. I'm going to say that because this is like the kind of show that you do want to see guys kind of get over a little bit, so I wouldn't mind if it is something like they could really do a lot here with Braun Strowman. They could really, he's been doing the whole jobber business against jobbers. Now, if they really want to push this guy, talk about the Royal Rumble. Well, there's room to have Braun Strowman on a one-off type of gig to do that. I mean, because he's been booked so well and protected that people will buy that as a match. That will be an attraction type match. But it all depends who he goes up against. But it's a good time to sort of help him. I think Seth Rollins is probably the one I'm looking at, Matt, that really needs something here. Like, he has been pretty stout. I don't want to just see... What I don't want is the Roman Reigns finish where it's all about him. Like, I will not understand that. But I've got a feeling that the way WWE are bigging this whole business up, it could come down with where it's Roman and Kevin Owens having to sort of coexist with one another. But I mean, either way, I would not be surprised. But I mean, most people seem to think SmackDown are going to win because they need the edge and they need to make their brand after this seem like it's worth tuning in for, because they're the ones that are not getting as much ratings. But is that just a little bit too obvious? And could it actually just, they're not going to go that way and go the other way and it just be Raw? I mean, I'm not too sure. I think Bray Wyatt, I mean, this would be a great mark, but I don't see it. I just don't see them doing anything with him in this. I think they're just going to do that little spot, and I just don't see him surviving at all. And I would hate that Shane would be the one with someone else as well. I mean, my goodness, I don't know what I'd hate more, but maybe it comes down to Shane versus Roman, the total nightmare Survivor Series. But yeah, it's hard to pick. I mean, because I'm gonna have to pick a winner. I don't want to sit on the fence here. I'm gonna go against. I was saying SmackDown, but I'm gonna say Raw. I'm gonna go against the grain. Normally, I think everybody's expecting SmackDown. I think now, because they've seen it happen in the past where the lesser show has to get the rub. But I think they might just swap it around and they might say Raw. But I could be totally wrong. But I've got a feeling that the whole answering to the Undertaker business, that might be where it cues AJ Styles for a title match at the Rumble. So I've got a feeling that answer will have to come on Tuesday at SmackDown. That's when I'm going to, again, my fantasy booking about this, I think it's starting a Survivor Series, and I'm going to go with a Team Raw win because the Undertaker will perhaps go and seek out AJ Styles. Maybe it'll be AJ Styles' fault that they lose, and he'll be the one. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I've got to say that sounds like a good prediction to me. I think they had the event bragging rights, and SmackDown always came off better, didn't it?
Yes,
so
yeah, traditionally,
time for a change. I think, if we go with like what I was saying, possibly Jericho walks out after Owens is eliminated, maybe. Yeah. And then I'm sure the Wyatt family will self-destruct somehow, taking him out of the equation. I think what we may end up with is we may end up with a sort of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns partnership taking on sort of Dean Ambrose and AJ, and I think AJ will blow it, being distracted by Ellsworth somehow. So I'll go with Raw.
Well, I've got another feeling as well that they may even have a Shield reunion in that match up against the Wyatts, and they're going to do their own little thing for a while. Though definitely expect something like that. There's no way, because they're all faces now, that WWE are not going to tease that. They're not going to dangle it out there, because they love to do things like that and they like to test the waters, even though it makes absolutely no sense at all. Absolutely no sense. I cannot buy it for the life of me, but They will dangle that out for sure, and they'll also dangle the Wyatt family thing. So that'll be interesting. Matt, let's take the last of the questions that we've got come in, and then we'll queue up and get ready to wrap this whole thing up. It's been a pretty long preview show because we've had so much going on this weekend. Don't forget, folks, you can tune in again with us on Monday night. We're going to go through NXT Takeover, Survivor Series, and we'll also give our thoughts on Ring of Honor as well. Okay, let's go to our next question. DX29. He's not happy. WWE is sucking right now. Why didn't they have NXT versus WWE on a Survivor Series Classic match, rather than this fabricated SmackDown versus Raw made-up rivalry crap that no one gives a crap about? Come on. ... Well, the X29 is not a happy customer for his WWE network, has he? Has he got a point? Have they missed out on something having... I mean, I will say one thing. There probably would have been a lot more stakes if it was NXT versus WWE, just because it is something completely different. And nobody does go down there, and there's not as much, they don't advertise each other's show as much either, and all the rest of it. There's more of a distinguished between those two than there is between SmackDown and Raw, quite frankly. That's just my take on it. But it might have been too soon, Matt, for something like that. And also, crikey, those poor NXT guys are going to have to work their socks off, aren't they, if they've got to do 2 nights?
Yeah, almost as much as Corey Graves does.
Yeah. Have they missed out on anything there, do you think, Matt, having that at the NXT WWE?
I think if they did do that, they would only put it on a sort of a pre-show kind of thing.
Sure.
And I think also the problem with that is that they're giving away too much. If they put like NXT stars on that kind of thing, then they're sort of saying this guy might be coming up soon, because they'd have certain people on there, wouldn't they? But they're running thin on NXT as well, which is the other problem. Finding people to come up and fight in a match like that, and the kind of people they would put in it from Raw and SmackDown. For starters, they'd have to pick a certain brand because they're supposed to be in a war with each other if they were still to do the main event in the women's match.
Sure.
So it would be like the leftover tag teams, like the Ascension previous NXT and all that, wouldn't it? So it would be pretty weak, I'm assuming, the match, because most of the NXT guys would supposedly be too battered to actually compete. People like Nakamura and Joe and Bobby Roode would have had a match, and Ty Dillinger. They would have been pretty light on people, I'd imagine.
Plus, as well, what you've got to remember is if they have guys like Enzo and Cass on the Raw, like you said, hang on, where would their loyalties lie? I mean, they were NXT for so long, and it gets even worse, doesn't it? Then, so that's what you've got to think about. But I think for the future, it is something I hope one day that they stop calling it the development place and they just have it as its own thing. Because some of those guys, no matter what they do, they're just not going to... They can't make it on the main roster. I mean, it's just... Like, you look at Tyler Breeze, I wish he was in NXT now because he'd be doing so much more. And I want to get it to the point where NXT just becomes its own little... It's more for the sort of, pro wrestling fan, the old school way of booking. It's an hour long. It's more of an intimate setting where it's not all these big arenas. And it's more of an indie style. I want to get to the point where we have that with NXT, rather than it always being referred to as the development place to go to, because I think it can be more than that. And I kind of feel like they've kind of gone away from that idea, but I hope they get back to it soon. Okay, next question. This is from Kevin Waltz. I'm tipping Goldberg victory, 100%. Brock's days are over. Well, there you go. That's what he thinks about the show, the night. He's definitely a big, strong on Goldberg there. So, now it's an interesting one, Matt. I didn't know what to make of this, and I have heard zero about it. So I don't know if you have. Otherwise, we're both going to be stuck. But I think you'll be surprised with this one. Sean says, was there any truth to snooker legend Jimmy White coming to WWE in 2005?
No, I never heard of that. No.
I've got to say, I tried to look this up, Sean. There's nothing on there other than the fact that Jimmy White showed up a few times. In fact, he came. I have a funny story about him because Matt, who recently would have been to one of the live shows. In fact, it was at Wembley as well. This was many moons ago, by the way. I'd gone to a live show, and they do that at. I don't know if they've done it at your one, but they do this little red carpet bit where the wrestlers come in out of the limos and they stand by the sponsor boards as they go in, and they had all the cameras there. I think Sky Sports were covering it. It was just a house show, but they kind of rolled out the red carpet for it. Anyway, I was standing at the front, and then somebody said, "Hey, look, it's Jimmy." And he was coming out of just a normal car park. There's all these celebrities getting out of limos, all these footballers, and then Jimmy White comes in from the car park and then gets involved with it. And that was the only time I've seen him involved in WWE, but it was not in a capacity of signing with them or anything to do with anything like that, I can assure you. So I don't know where you heard that from. In 2005, I have no idea. If anyone knows more than I do, email us in, please, because I know zero about that. And it did surprise me when I saw that question, and then I thought, have I completely missed something? But there you go. Jimmy White, who'd think of it on a wrestling show, eh, Matt? But there you go.
No, it's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Maybe he'll make a good general manager one day, who knows? Okay. KB2 now. As an interesting name. Right, why is it WWE give all the best segments, like the Goldberg-Lesnar bit, where the security guards were in the middle, to the part-timers? Surely they should give them moments to Owens and AJ, etc. How can fans who watch the talent week to week get more involved and take them serious when WWE makes it obvious they don't view them in the same bracket? So, it's got a good point. I mean, there is WWE do seem like Brock and Goldberg are on another universe compared to everybody else. It seems like the way they're treating them. But why is it that way at the moment, Matt? Because if you go back in history, we didn't see that in the Attitude Era. We wouldn't see the sort of part-time guys come in, or the legends take up the best spots in the Attitude Era, would we? Or even times before that. So is this just a more of a present-day thing that WWE like to do, and that they're trying to get this blockbuster matches over the line, like we see it a few times, and their current full-time wrestlers kind of get left with the scraps?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is that kind of thing, isn't it? I mean, now we have the opportunity to have these kind of matches that we didn't get to have before. Now they can call upon people like Sting to come back, and they can call upon Goldberg. I mean, it's not exactly what everybody wants, but it's what enough people want to get some of the actual buy rates up and that, isn't it? And if it works, it works. You can't really argue with it. And I know Owens is great and everything, and he should be getting top spots like that, but you can't really argue the fact that his name doesn't hold as much weight as Goldberg's does. If you see Goldberg on a massive board above a wrestling event, then you know who he is, and you think, wow, even if you were just a casual person and you hadn't seen wrestling in 10 years, and you thought, wait a minute, Goldberg's back, it might pique your interest to go and have a look again.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's just how the WWE machine is working currently. I mean, it's been going on for a while. I mean, they had The Rock coming in, doing all the best bits when he was up against Cena, and it's just how they seem to be booking it at the moment. It's just the way they're going. I don't know what it does for the future of the guys that are there. That really, you want to see the people like Kevin Owens taken a bit more serious instead of doing the funny gimmick angles, and AJ Styles looking. AJ Styles is a great champion, I think, but the way they portray him sometimes, Matt, like the segment he done with Edge, he looks like a bit of an idiot when he's talking. Come on, I know AJ Styles he's a bit more savvy than what they're trying to make his character to be. Oh, I want it to be me who you like the most. I hate that kind of stuff. Why are they not making the full-time guys seem more serious and relevant? Because they're the ones that are around every week, and it's got a good point. Why are we putting all our eggs into one basket with the guys that are not there all the time? And the only way the product is going to get better is if they start giving some of the best bits to the guys that are on that roster. So it's a good point. He's back. The intro, of course, I always give to this guy. I don't know the